That's right. It's Monday night. It's the 5 year anniversary show for Sports on the Hill podcast. Started out 5 years ago. Me and Robbie on the air, getting the things done, and we can hear the goal horn in the back of Robbie in the man cave of the Capitals, scoring another goal, making it 5-0. Robbie G, how a better way to start the show, the 5 year anniversary show than with a five spot on the board against
I can't believe that we start our fifth anniversary show and within 1 minute a fifth goal to make it 5-0 in this game.
meant to
Uh,
be, man.
yeah, an incredible goal. Really a deep shot, and it was just a lot of people in front of the net. Good net presence, double screen going. And I think it's deflected maybe off of them. It's hard to tell. It's one of those shots. You'll see it on the third replay. It was difficult
Yeah,
for me to see. It's definitely tipped. I just don't know if it's off of them or off of us, or it changed direction. It seemed like to me. But either way, the Capitals are up 5-0 with 13 minutes left in the third. We'll break down this game as well as Nicholas Backstrom becomes second most games played now. So we got these two players right here now as number one and number two in most games played in Washington Capitals history. So that's really cool that that's happening tonight as well. We got this live Capitals game against Buffalo that we're just talking about. We also have the Wizards playing the Milwaukee Bucks. Right now, the Wizards are down 110 to 115. But Milwaukee just turned the ball over. So the Wizards got the ball with about 6:28 left in the fourth quarter for that. So we're both going to have a post-game show and third period show for the Capitals and a post-game fourth quarter show for the Wizards here. We'll see if they can close that gap of that 5 points. We'll give you any scoring updates if they're able to take the lead as well. A power play for the Washington Capitals now as well. So I didn't catch what he had done to go to the sin bin. But they are 0 for 1 on the power play with 3 shots. But the Capitals go back on the power play with 12:43. It's a hooking call. Anyway, so yeah, lots of fun stuff to talk about. 5 years, Carol. 5 years ago, we started this podcast. This is towards the end of now our 5th season, this COVID extended season that sort of changed the dynamics of when it started. But we're here in week 32 of season 5. Next week will be the last week of season 5. But yeah, we're back on Twitch. So hello to all the people live watching on Twitch. Hello to the people live watching on Facebook and Carol's feeds and all sorts of cool stuff. So we really appreciate everyone for tuning in and from all over.
No doubt, no doubt. 5 years, we started out just the radio streaming on there. Then we got into the visuals. Now we're streaming on all different, platforms. We have our podcasting platforms on iHeartRadio, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can check us out on all of those. It's just been an amazing ride, expanding and growing like we have, and growing the followers that we have, and the folks that tune in on a weekly basis and inbox me, asking me sports stuff. This is why we started this show. DC Sports about the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. We bring sports to the folks that don't want to hear all of that BS you hear on the radio, all the anonymous sources, and all of the clickbait we saw a couple of weeks ago. Some stuff came out that was unfounded and fabricated and had to get retracted because they wanted listens and wanted clicks on their page. But it turned out not to be true. We are proud to say we've never had to retract anything off our page.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, thank you, Greg, for congratulating us on the Facebook feed. I appreciate it. I'm about to share this to a couple of hockey groups and stuff like that. I don't have too many news and notes tonight since we got all those live games. Do you have anything, Carol, before we start talking hockey?
Just the NFL all season is in full swing. New England Patriots made some nice signings today. We're still waiting to see what the Washington football team is going to do. But stay tuned for NFL talk. We try to coordinate with Dujane and get some of the college roundup for the draft that's upcoming, and some of the free agent moves that are expected, and to see what's going to happen. So stay tuned for that. And we got baseball coverage coming in season 6 when we started up after we take our break at the end of the month. So yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna try to figure out a way to get all the sports in hopefully a 2, maybe 2.5 hour show. We've been going more than 2 hours with these 2 sports. Now we got to see how we want to try to get all 4 in.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I'm excited for baseball to come back, and we'll try to figure out whether that goes second or third. I think we'll still start with the Caps talk as always, because I kind of like that, the energy that comes with. And but yeah, it's a fun time. Season 6 is going to bring so much more. The return, hopefully, on Twitch and other platforms, and really just trying to expand our reach and put us out there on so many different things. And Twitch has new options for podcasts that they didn't have before. I was just talking before, but I actually now on a new group, see if that brings in any new listeners and from all over the world. I really love the Twitch community, so hopefully it does. And yeah, well, with that, I think we just bring in Anna right now, and we can talk some hockey. We'll go back in time, and yeah, it's a great night so far, Anna. And how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm so happy for you guys. I'm not muted, right?
No, you're good. You're good.
I keep it like it's a teaching habit where I'm like, your mic's not on. Thrilled for you guys and the success of this podcast. It is an honor to be part of it. And I will say, Robbie, your face was priceless when the horn went off, and it was like we're, you and Carol like, oh, it's 5 years and it's fifth goal. That made my night. That was awesome.
There you go. I don't get to usually get a live goal horn. My goal horn also, if anyone doesn't know, predates when the goal is. So I'm like, something good's about to happen. And then I see the goal. So shout out to Budweiser for being able to predict goals, at least for me. And but yeah, it's been a fun night. I like it when the goal horn goes off 5 times. So it's all good.
Yeah, this has been a good game.
Yeah, it's I'm starting to feel sorry for the Buffalo goalie, man. It's just like it's like all right, that's enough, y'all. Don't score no more. Like he might retire after this. He might not ever get back on the ice again after this game.
Yeah, it's there does become a point where you're like, he's a good guy. If it was someone I like, someone I could care less about, but Buffalo they've been through the ringer. So we'll see. But either way, our boys look good.
I agree.
Let's get into this 3-0 week that we had. It was a very, very interesting week.
It was. I think it was. I think some of us thought it was just going to be 2-1, but I will take the 3-0. So Tuesday, the Capitals welcome the Devils. So we have TJ Oshie, my goodness, open the scoring with the power play goal at 17:22, assisted by Schultz and Backstrom. Second period has Vrana scoring his 9th at 7:42, followed by about 2 minutes later, Sprong making it 3-0. Daniel Sprong, he is hot. Wow, impressive. The Devils score at 12:44, and then Orlov gets his 3rd, assisted by Panik, to make it a 4-1 into the 3rd. The Devils dominated that 3rd period with 3 goals to tie it up. I don't think anybody saw this one coming, and all of a sudden we head into overtime. But luckily, at 1:30, Jacob Vrana scores in overtime, and the Caps get a win.
Yeah,
it was a good game. It was a stressful game. And unfortunately, this is a pattern that we're going to see in the next 2 games of the Capitals having a fantastic lead and making it a little too close for comfort for some of the fans.
Yeah, I'll let Carol give his first impressions on this game, but I have definitely some thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first 2 periods, great Caps hockey, but we've seen, unfortunately, this season, the 3rd period has given the Caps problems. So I'm not going to say I saw it coming for them to tie it up. I knew they were going to give a pushback. I didn't think they were going to tie the game up and force overtime, but unfortunately, it went that way. They found the way to win. You spoke about Sprong. He's playing some good hockey when he got out there when the Russians were out with COVID. He had a chance to play and he was playing well. And whenever he gets in there, he's making things happen. He's hustling and now he's scoring also. So that's all you can ask of, your players that's coming off the bench. And once again, my dog decided to chew his bone during showtime.
My cat's cleaning himself right here next to me. So, it's all part of the
Think they want to
course,
get
right?
their shine off with
Right.
a popular.
It's fine. Hey, they want to be on the 5th-year anniversary special.
That's
So
all
be
good.
it. So,
He over here chewing his bone right by my mic, so I go and pick it up. Hey, you got your cat cleaning. The animal's taking over the feed. Man.
Yeah, yeah, that's about right. So, but yeah, I mean, it's frustrating to give up 3 goals like that. I mean, they had full control over that game, 4-1. And it was just really frustrating. And you could see that they had kind of benched Verana, and he was frustrated, and he won it, and didn't even seem that happy about the fact that he won it, which is good because I think he gets the idea that we should have won that game, 5-2 or something. Like it should never have gotten, to an overtime situation. But you have to win against all the teams in the league. And I mean, one thing we'll talk about a little later is how good the Islanders have been doing, right? They're the hottest team in the league. And we're going to have to play them tomorrow in a back-to-back from tonight. But they have feasted on New Jersey and Buffalo. And so in the same way that we have, but you have to. The division is so difficult, and the standings are so different than they even were a week ago when we talked about it. But it's just it's frustrating to give it up, but I'm happy we had the resolve to find a way to pull a win out of that, because in so many previous seasons we would have found a way to lose that game.
I agree, but I think the one repetitive thing that we're going to hear about over the next couple of games is that shots on goal, and that's where yes, it's a win, but when you have the Devils in the third periods with 16 and the Capitals with 5, come on, guys. So it's we're still lacking that full 60 minutes of hockey. I know a win's a win, but some of it was just luck. I mean, it was like, come on. So unfortunately, I was hoping that the shots on goal trend would end, but it does not when we go to Philly.
Yeah, that is very true. So Orlov had a holding penalty. Buffalo is on the power play, 1:35 left in that. We got 6:45 left in the third period. Washington's still up 5-0. The power play actually for Buffalo is their strong point. It's 5th in the league, and our penalty kill is 11th in the league. So this is where we got to sort of, see what we can do and see if we can keep this game going the way that it is. But Milwaukee's kind of broken things open a little bit. They're up 127 to the Wizards 116. So it doesn't look like the Wizards are going to come back in this one. There's 2:35 to give a quick little scoring update. But Carol, any final thoughts on this Jersey game, or do you want to get into the 2 games in Philadelphia?
I'm just giving these 2 games in Philly.
Yeah, well, so real quickly, Samsonov had the last game in Philadelphia. He played well. They decided to give him the next 2 games and sort of complete that trifecta. He did well in both games, but obviously some dynamics I didn't quite love with coming back. Similar sort of situation here with the New Jersey Devils. But why don't you break down the scoring? We'll get Carol's reaction, and then I'll give my take.
Thursday, the Caps headed to Philly. The captain opens the scoring unassisted at 8:37, followed by Konechny scoring at 11:14, and Sherry closing out the first with his 6th, assisted by Sprong. Second period was all Caps. Carlson scores his 6th. Dowd scores his 4th, assisted by Chara and Hathaway, and we are now at the 4-1 lead. Third period, Philly scores twice in a little over 10 minutes. But then we had this amazing Nick Dowd empty netter, assisted by Sammy. And it was a 5-3 Capitals win. And so again, it was close, but it still wasn't that 60 minutes. And I will say shots on goal in that second and third period this time, the Capitals had 5, Philly had 8. In the third period, Capitals had 7. and Philly had 14. So, that's, if you're looking at it from a stats point of view, that's very, very frustrating. And of course, if you're looking at it with a score, you're like, hey, this is great, we won. But this is just that little thing where it's like, come on, guys, you have it and you need to play 60, and we're just not quite there yet.
For sure. Yeah, I think that you've said a lot there. I think that's really good. I'm very frustrated with how these third periods are going. But Carol, I'll let you have your first take on this one, and then I'll give mine.
I mean, just to speak on what you were saying, I mean, they do need to play 60 minutes. We've seen them do it in spurts, and we've seen a game here, a game there, we've seen them play well over 60 minutes. And right now, I'm not really too upset about it. I mean, getting outshot. We saw this team go through a transition before, Stanley Cup run, when they had to learn to tighten up their defense. They're getting better at it. The neutral zone defense is just going on.
Something good's about to happen. Thank you, Budweiser.
On my TV, I'm getting a delay on both my TVs, so I'm just waiting to see what happens. Right.
Yeah, it just happened, but I kind of happened so fast I need to see the replay. But yeah,
that's so great.
Yeah, it's
I'm so delayed again, so I feel like I'm still in the first period. I gotta put my glasses on.
All right, so Connor Sherry has it, a nice feed into the middle by Ovechkin. There it is. So now he's in sixth place all time.
He beat Phil.
Oh, he did great.
Man,
great.
Fantastic to be able to witness that. Right?
Okay, that is a great angle right there. Yeah, that's so cool. I can't believe that happens tonight. That's really awesome. Anyway, Ovechkin just scored on a beautiful feed from Connor Sherry. 3:28 left. So 7:17 ties Phil Esposito for sixth most in NHL history. So 7:17 for the Great Eight. There's now a flurry in front of the net for Buffalo. We're going to just try to hold on to this game here. We're trying to get out of the zone. There you go. 3 minutes left in the third period. We all know what we want out of this game, but I don't want to say it. So we'll keep on. We'll move on, and we'll talk about this the Philadelphia game. Exactly.
I was saying, I think this team is going to get the defense together, get the shots on goal. We've seen them play tight defense in some occasions. They just haven't done it on a consistent basis. And I think the further season goes along, I'm hoping we'll see them get it done on a consistent basis and get more deeper into the system. But this game, you spoke about Nick Dowd. I mean, he's been, we've been talking about how he's been killing at the face-off dot. Now he's, scoring. He had 2 goals in this game. And, that goes to some of the depth that we talk about that's going to be key, when they make the playoffs that you're going to need, because you're going to have the top defense going against the top line, which, sometimes is a, chess match, and sometimes the other defenders get the best of the top line and the top line get the best of the defenders sometimes. So we got to have that secondary scoring. And it's just good to see this team finding ways to win. A guy close, they pulled the goalie. Nick Dowd got that 198-foot.
That was incredible. Like, the skills that these players have. I mean, to curl it up and just like fling it and to get a bullseye dead center, Carol. It was no doubt on one bounce. It landed, bounced in. I heard people define it as the equivalent of a slam dunk in basketball, like, in sort of garbage time. And I agree. I mean, what a beautiful. I mean, some empty netters are like just easy, but that takes some skill, right, to be able to throw
that was skill, and also the fact that it was 60 minutes and they're tired and he still had it in him. And I love the assist from Sammy. I think that was great acknowledgement right there.
Right. I think it's his first career point in the NHL.
Good for him.
Which is kind of cool for him. And so just quick scoring update. The Wizards ended up losing that game. I believe it was 133-122. 133-122. Beal at 37 points. And Russell Westbrook has a season high 17 assists. But obviously it's not enough. They lose 4 or 5 in a row now. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, unfortunately. But let's talk about good things. Like the fact that we were able to come away with this win here. Obviously, it got too close for comfort. But let's get into the second Philadelphia game and get through the scoring there.
Sure
and we'll talk
thing.
about that game.
So Saturday was that second Philly game of the week. Sprong and Hagelin each score with a backhander for a 2-zip lead in the first period. Philly scores at 2:36 into the second, and Jensen gets his second at 3:05. Good for him. And less than 3 minutes later, Philly scores, but at 13:10, the captain scores his 10th with a power play goal, assisted by Backstrom, which was his 20th, and Carlson his 17th. Golf clap for those guys for sure. Third period, Dowd gets his 6th, but Philly goes on to score twice. But the Caps do pull off a win 5-4. And this was like when we were chatting about Locker's comment about Claude Giroux. Like, what were the chances that someone was going to mention that no one's heard? We haven't talked much about Claude Giroux, and then all of a sudden he goes and scores and makes it a little too close for comfort for the Capitals. But this is a fun game to watch. But it was a little too close again.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that they even said that on the air. Watching, I looked at this here. I was on my phone or on my computer or something. I heard him say, I looked at the TV like, no, he didn't do that. And not less than 3 minutes later, they scored the goal. Claude Giroux scores and make it a closer game. I was like, really? I think I made it 5-3. Then it was 5-4. And Caps held on. But,
it actually made it 5-4.
He made it 5-4, yeah. But it was kind of crazy though, because we haven't heard Giroux's name, and it was just like, what are the chances? So yeah, when you guys put that in Messenger, I thought it was funny, but then I was like, wait, it's kind of funny, but not really.
The hockey guys in all different types of ways with that.
Yeah, no doubt.
But Samsonov was good in this game. Those 2 that he gave up in the second, still
real quickly. Double V just made an incredible save.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 minute 9 seconds left in the third period here. But yeah, go back to what you're saying.
Yeah, so I think Samsonov played a good game. Hagelin finally, got a goal. He's been scrapping. He just had some bad puck luck most of the season. He's had a couple opportunities on breakaways and, just couldn't get the bounce or, bounces over his stick. It's good to see him to get a goal. Jensen, he's been playing outstanding since he's been paired up with Char. Hopefully that continues to go well. Carlson, he's been playing well. Orloff, he's been playing well since they said that once his family we had a family situation or something, but now he's with his family, had his family back with him, and he's more comfortable out there. He's made some good plays tonight. And like I said, I haven't really seen him make as many bonehead plays as I've seen in the past. So I know Anna, she still keeps a close eye on him, but I think he definitely stepped his game up this year. He still, makes some mistakes and has some flaws in his game, but he's been definitely playing more solid and more consistent this season than last season.
And there it is. The first Capitals shutout.
There we go for Vanna
January 13th, 2020. So in over a year, they haven't had a shutout. And finally, Carol, we've talked about it, how Vanacek should have had so many different shutouts, and it was always elusive. 23 saves tonight. First career shutout for him. I have chills.
I'm excited.
And Ovechkin is 1 point away now from 1,300 points. So, a lot of great things. Nicholas Backstrom, as we talked about earlier, moves into second place all-time in games played for the Washington Capitals. We've now seen them together play more games, well, obviously together as any teammates, but than anybody else in the franchise's history. So what an incredible night.
And CBD 400th.
400th point, 6-0. What an incredible game. I will take that for tonight. This will be a special night, and it will go down for a long time in our podcast's history. So we've gotten to celebrate a lot of great things. At the end of the show, we'll talk a little bit about that in the 5 years. But that goal horn right there is whenever we win, the horn also goes off. And so it also tells me that it's going to go to sleep now, which is good. But I will take the win horn and the 6-0 and just an incredible night. We didn't kind of let our guard down. This was a classic trap game that we didn't. Let's finish up our talk about this Philadelphia game, and then we'll break down the scoring of this game, talk about it a little bit, and then we'll preview the week ahead coming up here on Caps Talk. So, Anna, we didn't break down the scoring yet, right, of the second Philadelphia game, or did you?
Yeah, no, I just did.
Yeah. I just was breaking down my synopsis, and it was your turn for you.
Okay, it was my turn, and then all the excitement happened at the end of the game. Okay, so I'm happy that we were able to hold on again. I hate that it got close again, but I mean, Philadelphia is a tough team. To win all 3 games in Philadelphia, Sam's first time playing back-to-back games in a very, very long time. But I was really happy they went back to double V for this game. We talked about it, Carol, in our post-game show. We actually did a post-game show for this on Saturday, which was fun to do, a little bit longer than our normal recaps. But I said we got to go back to double V because I mean we could see what Sam's got 3 games in a row, but I had forgot that it was going to be a back-to-back. And so I like the idea that he rides that wave. He knows that Sam should know by now he's still the starting goaltender. I think I know that they're both 1A, 1B, but I think Sam's your starter now that he's back, and double V is your backup, as it was always planned to be. Right. But you still want to give Sam that spot, 1 out of every 3 games if you can. And so this was his opportunity here to prove that he's 1B. It's not 2. It's not 1 and 2. It's 1A, 1B. Don't forget that I'm here. But I think it'll be great. You go back to Sam tomorrow night. They've already said that that's what they were going to do. And I think that that's great as well. Just overall, I'm happy that we got all 3 wins in Philadelphia. It's hard to get what I would call a road sweep in a week, 3 road games in Philadelphia. I don't think we've ever accomplished 3 road wins in Philadelphia in a week before, because it's probably never happened, right? So, I congratulate them for that, because Philly's a tough out. I'm not saying that they're the best team in the league, but going into the season, we said that there would be a top 3 team in the East, right? I mean, pretty much everyone had projected that. So it's not an easy out by any means. And Carol, any final thoughts on this one before we break it on tonight's game?
Nah, pretty much, got the 4-game winning streak, 3 game sweep over Philly in Philly. That's a good thing for any DC sports franchise, let alone the Capitals. With Philly, the way they were playing early in the season, they fell off a little bit now, but they're always a tough game, a tough matchup. It's good to see them, handle their business on the road and come back home and on their way back home after this game in Buffalo and see if they can continue that trend.
And winning some of these games in regulation, even though they let up on the gas, they still finish them in regulation. And that's a big difference, especially versus a team like Philadelphia. In New Jersey, if they get a loser point, it doesn't hurt you as badly. But if Philadelphia, one of the teams you're fighting for that top 4 spots, if they get loser points, it's dangerous, right? If they got a loser point in both of those games, it's almost like them getting a win. The fact that they got no loser points, we both got all 4 and they got 0. I think that's huge, especially in a season like this. Give me a Flyers Rangers update. The Flyers are in New York right now. The Flyers took a 2-0 lead early on. Then the Rangers stormed back and scored 3 unanswered goals. But Philadelphia at the end of the second period tied it up 3-3. And then the Rangers took the lead with 3 minutes into the period to make it 4-3. And then just about a minute later, Claude Giroux ties it up 4-4. So it's about 8:20 left in a back and forth third period. So that game I don't have live, but I'm just going through the scores there. But obviously, when we bring Brian Brennan on in a little bit, we'll find out how they did. I'm sure that he's keeping tabs on that as part of our roundtable. But let's break down tonight's scoring. I have it in front of me, unless you have it, Anna. Either way,
I do, but go for it.
Okay. Sounds good.
It's your 5th anniversary. Come on now.
I used to do this all the time. So I'll do it once again. So Kuzi scored his 3rd goal of the season, finally, I would say. I think that he's been under a lot of scrutiny lately.
Wow.
Justin Schultz, 9th assist. Connor Sherry's 3rd assist. That was Kuznetsov's 400th point and made it 1-0 at 18:46 into the first period. So we played a decent first, not a whole lot of scoring, but I was happy that he got on the board with that first one. And then Nicholas Backstrom, on a monumental night for him, he scored his 11th goal of the season, assist by TJ Oshie, his 13th, and Nick Jensen's 9th assist, made it 2-0 just before it was 3 minutes old into the second period on a nice sort of give and go a play, sort of a nice play, or I guess it was off of a rebound, right? And then Backstrom put it in. Then Panic gets his 3rd goal of the season. Dmitry Orlov gets his first assist of the season, and that's 6 minutes into the second period to take a 3-0 lead. Daniel Sprong scores 15:07 into it, 4-0 assist by Nick Jensen. Now he has 10 assists. In the third period, 6:46, Garrett Hathaway gets his 4th goal of the season. Justin Schultz gets his 10th assist, and Carl Hagelin gets his 5th assist, made it 5-0. And then Alex Ovechkin, as we were just talking about, 16-21, his 11th goal of the season. He couldn't let Nicholas Backstrom be the only player with 11 goals on the season in this game. He reties it up, so they're tied at 11 goals, which is so perfect for when we're talking about games played and the sort of the symmetry of their careers. Makes it 6-0. They hold on for the shutout. Vanacek with the 23 save shutout, and just overall just a great game, and just really proud of the guys. And I'll get your thoughts first, and I'll get Carol's thoughts.
Yeah, I love to see Kuzi back on. I think he needed that, and I think the fact that he was the first goal was great momentum for him. You can't go wrong with the Backstrom goal ever. But really impressed with Daniel Sprong. I have to admit, he is hot. I mean, he is played well. He is exactly where he needs to be. Wow. I mean, it's just and quite the chatter on social media about him and Tom Wilson. Hathaway, well deserved. Great guy, great presence on the ice, and nice to see him getting his 4th. And then, of course, you can't go wrong with an Ovechkin. But I have to say that my quote-unquote star of the game is going to Double V. Fantastic for him. Good for him. Great game and a shutout. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm so excited. All right, Carol, what were some of your thoughts on this game? And then I'll break down some of my thoughts over the week in general.
It was definitely, I think we were thinking about this team playing 60 minutes and playing solid defense and shots on goal. This game, the first period, they outshot Buffalo 13-2. Second period, 11-7. Third period, Buffalo pushed back 14 to the Capital 6. They scored on 2 of those 6. So, I think we saw a solid game. Granted, it's Buffalo. We know who they are. Lack of offense, missing the star player. Only has 16 points on the year so far. So it's about beating the team that's in front of you. They played, solid. They beat the team that was in front of them that they should beat 6-0. Like I said, at some point, you starting to feel bad for the goalie, but for the opposing team. But for our goalie, Double V, it's great to see him finally get that shutout. To see this team play, defense and know what was on the line. The game was pretty much won. All they were playing for was pretty much the shutout. And it was good to see them not give up a cheap goal or a power play goal by the opposing team because of a dumb penalty. So, like I was speaking about earlier, we're seeing this team starting to build momentum and starting to fix different phases of their game that they're lacking in piece by piece. Like I mentioned, the neutral zone defense has been stellar the last 3 to 4 games. It's been very hard for the other team to get clean entries in there. They were having to dump it in, go chase, which the Capitals with their forecheck, that plays right into what the Capitals want you to do. So we're seeing this team slowly put it together under this new coach that, starting to get a little bit of faith in. I like the way they're playing for him. He benches players when they feel like they're not playing, they're responding. So he's pushing the right buttons at the right time. We just have to get the consistency to do it game in, 60 minutes, and keep that hustle and that grind at the same consistent level, and then see what happens when the playoffs come.
Yeah, for sure. let's talk about how resilient this team has been. 5-0 since Tom Wilson has been suspended. I'm not going to toot my own horn too much, but I've been in the Capital Sin Bin group, and I've done a game thread for all 5 of those games, saying do it for Tom every time, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. So I will continue that trend tomorrow, hopefully. And but I just like how the team is like, screw you, league, for doing that. And then we get Eller hurt too. And for us to come back and find a way to win these games without some of our star players, I think that's really kind of a crazy. It's awesome. Like, no matter who's in the lineup, whatever the mixing and matching of these lines are, they're able to come through and pull through. And I think it has a lot to do with coaching. I think the fact that Laviolette early on, when we were 4 games without Ovechkin, we did very, very well. And now that we're 5 games without Tom Wilson, we're doing very, very well. And that gives me hope to the future. The only person who's potentially out coaching him may be our old coach in Barry Trotz, who we have to play tomorrow. So, but at the same time, like, the fact that he, in just a short season, remember they had a short off season from last year, he took over a team, and this is what we've got so far. And I've always said, I mean, I really would love us to win it all this year, no doubt, but like, give him at least 1 full season with an off season before we actually judge. And just like what we're seeing with the Washington football team, we're seeing a team come together much sooner than maybe even expected. And this is a really exciting time for the Washington Capitals fans. We have a real opportunity this year to do some real damage in these playoffs. It'll be a very tough playoff scenario no matter how it works out, but I'm excited to see what we got going forward. Carol, what are your thoughts going into this Islanders game, going against Trotz, who's been such a hot coach, and how well we've been doing as well?
They're going to have to play consistent, hard-nosed, hustle, grind, 60-minute hockey to beat this team. Islanders are incredibly hot right now. We have a impressive home winning streak. I think it's up to 12 or 13. They got to play solid hockey. It's at Capital One. They're on the back-to-back. The Islanders are already here waiting on them. So, I mean, plays in their favor because they're just coming off of a 6-0 win. But they were rolling the lines pretty well in the third period since they had a good lead. So can't claim tired legs. They have to come out, play smart hockey, no dumb penalties early, and get the lead first. We see this team play so much better with the lead than playing from behind. Not saying they can't catch up and score goals when needed, but it changes the whole dynamic and puts more pressure on the opposing team because they know how this team can score, and they see they just put up a 6 spot on Buffalo tonight. So it's all about not just about playing the game on the ice, it's about playing the game in the head also. So if they can come out here, execute, get an early lead, depending on if they're going to go with Samsonov for double V, 23 saves tonight. He wasn't really put too much work in. Like the last third period, he had 14 shots on goal, but before that, he only had 9. So it would be interesting to see Samsonov. He's playing well, still undefeated in regulation. Double V earned his first shutout. So I don't know. I think I'd ride with Double V coming off the shutout to see if he can, put together another quality game against a tougher opponent to see how he will react to the.
I think they've already declared they're going to Sam either way. Just in workload, trying to differentiate it. And he's played so well against Philadelphia. They want to see how he does against the Islanders, especially if Sam is going to be your number 1. And then they've got a lot of games this week. So Double V will get his opportunity. So they play Tuesday, Friday, Saturday still. So you give, in my mind, Sam the back-to-back, but you go right back to Double V on Friday. So he's a couple of days off to rest after having that game, but it's not like he'll cool off too much. And then they play Saturday, so it's a back-to-back, right? So then on Saturday you have Sam come right back. So that way they do the same thing. One starts on the first half, the other starts on the second half. You just do that twice. I think this week that makes a lot of sense, especially the way that the schedule goes Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. So I think in a different situation where it was like every other day or something, maybe I would do it a little bit differently, like you're saying, Carol, and ride it out and see how he does. But I think you want them to have the fresh legs, and I think for me,
But then looking at next week, after they have this quick stretch, they don't play again until Thursday.
right. But so that way, each one of them gets 2 games this week.
Yeah, but I don't know. Coming off a shutout rookie, with knowing that stretch is
If it
coming
was
up.
not Buffalo and they like shut out like the Penguins or somebody like high caliber that had like 30 shots, maybe. I mean, he actually had a light load, which I understand probably goes to your argument saying he didn't even face that many shots. But at the same time, I think if they had the mentality going into this game that one's going to get one, one's going to get the other, they knew that going into it, they prepare that way, then I think you just keep it that way.
Yeah, the same way we tested with Sammy because he hadn't gone back to back, even though Double V had been playing well.
But we don't know what they were telling them behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It sounds like they had already pre-declared this is what they were going to do.
I say give it to Double V after coming off his first shutout. I do. That's just my.
I can. You can't go wrong unless you lose, and then whatever choice you made was wrong, right? So, but so far I like the 5-0. I have a question. Does this sound okay? I'm trying it without my headphones because there's somebody listening live here, but I just want to make sure that it's still.
Yeah, you good. You good.
Cool. All right. It's been a exciting time. Let's break down those other guys. So it's the Islanders that one time. Anna, what are some of your thoughts on playing the Islanders, and then we'll get into this back-to-back against the Rangers.
Well, I think it's so crazy because the Islanders are 19-6-4, and they're doing fantastic, and they seem to be the team to beat. However, we've played them twice, and we beat them twice. So it's like, okay, let's hope that momentum keeps going. But I will 100% agree with Carol that it is all about smart and consistent hockey. But I also have said, like a broken record, I love when I see the players on ice having fun. Like actually there's not a cloud over them about, they have to do this, they have to do this. And that we saw that tonight, and we saw that a couple other games. Did we see the 60 minutes? No. That we need to see. But I like when there's just that, when they click, the chemistry, everything's great. And I do think that we are going to see a Brendan Dillon 1, 2, 3 fantastic games from that guy, because I just really enjoy watching him play. And I think that he's making a name for himself, and I'd like to see more upcoming. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Islanders. I mean, it's like we beat them, and then they've got this great record. So let's hope we can ride off of this 6-0 win and keep it going.
That would be pretty incredible to sort of build off of this. I mean, I see what you're saying, Carol. Just ride the momentum, see how Double V does. I could go either way. I have an idea. I know that Brian's on hold. Why don't we bring him in early to talk about this back-to-back Rangers series? We can also find out how. I can also look real quickly.
There he is.
Were they able to beat Philadelphia?
How's it going? It's just about to go to overtime, it looks like.
Yeah,
God.
8 seconds left.
Are you cursing Claude Giroux?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a crazy game. This has been Philly almost scored a goal a couple minutes ago, but it was ruled offside. They reviewed it. So it's been back and forth. Hopefully the Rangers pull it out.
Yeah,
I see the bread man is back. How long has he been back with you?
He came back just the other day.
Yeah,
I think Saturday was his first game back, I think. Yeah.
I know we got to play that dude. Why couldn't he stay out for a couple more games?
I don't know, man.
Come up with another Russian conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
He'll be out.
I'm just glad that whole situation. I hope it's resolved. I hope that whole mess is behind him. Like, I hope that's just like done.
That was shady.
Yeah, that whole nightmare.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah.
We don't know who's listening.
Yeah. You never know.
So yeah, Brian, I see the Rangers, they tied up with Philly 4-4. For some reason, they've been giving the Capitals problems this year. What do you anticipate from this back-to-back with the Capitals this week?
Yeah, you mentioned the Rangers have had success against the Capitals this season. I believe they've played 2 games this season, and the Rangers have won both of them. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I expect it in these back-to-back situations in the NHL. It's very difficult to win 2 in a row. So I'm going to say, personally, I think these teams are going to split. And I mean, just the Capitals in general are a better team than the Rangers, and the Rangers are still, trying to figure things out. I think as a team, they're definitely not a playoff team in my opinion, but they're all right, I guess. They're still figuring things out. Like we were just talking about, they just got Panarin back, so they're trying to work him back in. They just had an injury to Shesterkin, their goalkeeper. So Keith Kincaid has been playing a lot of goal lately for them. So expect him to play one of the games in the back-to-back, and expect Georgiev to play the other one in the back-to-back. And like I said, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a great sports weekend with the NCAA tournament, and now Caps Rangers too, back-to-back. I'm looking forward to it, but I expect to split. I think Caps win 1, Rangers win 1.
All right, one more quick question. I know Robbie probably got some questions for you. I mentioned on the post game with Robbie a couple of days ago about Henrik Lundqvist back on the ice after the open heart surgery. I don't know much about him, but just seeing that right there, lets me know that man is serious about his craft. How do you feel about the great Lundqvist already back on the ice trying to get back in shape with it? GM didn't rule out a possibility of him maybe making an appearance this year. Long shot, maybe coulda, woulda, shoulda, but the fact that he didn't rule it out that he can maybe take the ice for the Caps. How do you feel about that being a lifelong Rangers fan?
I mean, I love Henrik Lundqvist, and I absolutely love seeing all these updates on his recovery from the surgery. Seeing him, the most recent update that you just mentioned, seeing him on the ice, playing hockey again was awesome. Like, that's really cool to see. Just to know how far he's come in such a short period of time, and to think that he could potentially play again. I think maybe next season's a little more realistic. I think the fact that they're even talking about this season's crazy, but I don't see it happening. But I think next season is totally realistic for Henrik Lundqvist. I think if he could, I think he's definitely working his way back, and it'll be an incredible story when he does. And I'm hoping he gets his ring wherever it is. I hope he gets his ring.
No doubt. With all that bad news, unfortunately, Philly just scored.
Yeah.
To beat the Rangers. 5.
Yeah.
Robbie, I know you got some questions.
Yeah, sorry, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
I appreciate.
Oh, it might not. It might be offside. They might be getting ready to review it.
Ooh.
Who was it? Who was it that scored?
Philly might have been offside going into the zone.
Is it on NHL?
No goal.
Oh yeah, you're watching. That's from a while ago. That's from
earlier. Yeah. Okay, I thought that was just. I'm watching NHL Network.
I thought you were ahead of me. I thought you were spoiling something for me for a minute. I was like, whoa.
Oh, okay. My bad, Brian. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So wait?
No, it's overtime. It's overtime. There's 3 minutes left in overtime. 4-4.
Okay, I'm sorry, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, I was really confused for a minute. I thought you were like spoiling something for me for a minute.
I haven't. Yeah, all right. That's good.
I'm watching so many highlights too, man. My bad.
All right.
Yeah, I'll let you know who wins.
Okay, sounds good. It'll be an interesting matchup for sure this weekend. I agree with you. I think we'll probably split them just because we're kind of due. Tim's saying it's on NBC Sports. Is that right? Hold on. Now I'm curious.
I'm watching on my iPad, so
I'm gonna switch over and see if they do have this game on. All right. So yeah. Oh wow, I do have overtime. All right, I got 2 minutes left. 4-4.
Yeah.
All right. So this is interesting. It's a live look on our opponent we played the most this week against opponent we have upcoming. So that's kind of cool. We've just got about 5 more minutes left of our Caps coverage, and then we're gonna bring in the rest of the team and stuff like that. Just real quickly, I want to talk about what time the games were for this week, if anyone had missed that. So again, the Islanders game is tomorrow at 7:00. It's expected that Sam is going to get the start, but there's a chance that Double V and gets another start. And then Friday and then Saturday, I think that they'll split their thing. So all three of those games, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday, against three New York opponents, are all at 7:00. And then we've got two against Jersey and another one against the Rangers the following week as well. So it'll start a long homestand where we're going to have 6 games in a row at home. We've been playing a lot of games on the road. It'll be interesting to see. They've petitioned now to try to get some fans into the home arenas. So here in Capital One Arena. So we'll see if that goes through. I will share any news of that on our Facebook page when that happens. And I've enjoyed the Power Play Point podcast today. And I'm sorry, I just saw.
Yeah, Flyers just scored.
Yeah.
It wasn't Konechny, was it?
I didn't even see who it was. It's Flyers scored.
It was Konechny.
Oh.
No, it was Voracek. It's Voracek. I'm sorry. Voracek does a deke move on the goalie. And,
wow.
Yeah.
That was that. Yeah, that was. Yeah, that's a.
I'm sorry, Brian.
It's okay. It's okay.
So it'll be interesting to see how we do against these two games in the Rangers and then the Islanders. But so Philadelphia won that 5-4. And I'm going to get updated standings real fast on it. But while I could pull that up, I really enjoyed your podcast this week. Anna, if people want a mullet update or if they want to know.
It's important.
Yeah, it's important stuff. And also how the Capitals are doing. You guys break down sort of these games that we won, but maybe, it could have been a little bit better. Just real quickly, the Islanders right now at the top of the standings. With 42 points. We've got 40 points now, I guess it is, right? So we've won 5 in a row, so we're right behind them. And we've played one less game than them. Then Pittsburgh's right behind us. I think they've got 35 points, unless they play tonight.
37 now. They just beat Boston. 40.
Yeah, they just beat Boston. So I'm happy we won because they're still riding our coattails, only 3 points behind.
Looking at the updated standings, the Islanders and Capitals are tied with 42 points, with both having 29 games played. Is the current standings that I'm looking at right now.
How is that possible? They've played 28 games and they have 40 points.
I think this was the 29th game. I don't think the app updated yet. Sometimes it take a little after the game. Sometimes it take a little while for to update the standings and the game played. They just showed on the post game that this game was.
No, but this was game 28 for the Capitals.
So I guess the post game must be wrong because they just put up 42 games played for both the Islanders and say they're both tied right now. I mean, both tied with 42 points in 29 games played. That's what they just put up just now.
Yeah, I have it. No, they're wrong. That's pretty hilarious that they got that wrong. But yeah. This is their 28th game. I just looked it up in the official NHL list of games. So it's game 28. They've won 5 in a row, which is correct. They're 9-1-0 over their last 10, and they have 40 standings points, playing one less game than the Islanders. So that's not even the app. That I looked it up on NHL.com.
That's on the app too. So yeah, they must have made a mistake.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Anyway, so but the halfway mark, 40 points, pretty good. We're right there with the Islanders, so it's a good place to be, and so we're exactly at halfway right
tomorrow night.
Yeah, so yeah, the 29th game would be tomorrow night. Yeah, but Anna, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, thank you. Well, I say no, and then I say something, but I just want to say thank you for including me in your 5-year anniversary. Congratulations. Many congratulatory years, and it's just so great. So I hope many years to come. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm happy you've been a part of this for 3 seasons now out of the 5.
So crazy.
Cool. Helping us start that huge Stanley Cup run that year, and been with us ever since. And so we really appreciate you for being such a loyal contributor and being a part of the show every week. It's been a lot.
One of these days, Carol will give me the link to the sweatshirt.
Right. Okay. Well.
I got so much good.
I know.
I talked to my guy. I told him that I got it. Anna, you just don't know what's.
No, I do. That's why
I'm going to make a note in my notepad right now. and set an alarm to talk to about the apparel guy.
No worries.
Well, anybody who wants to get any of the other apparel, it's live on our page, SportsOTHP.com. You can get some apparel, including some hockey championship sweatshirts and stuff from that run as well. And again, click the Power Play Point podcast button on, if you go to SportsOTHP.com, you click Podcast Partners, click Power Play Point podcast. You can catch more Anna and Gil. They have a great show as always. Thank you, Anna, for being a part of this one, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you. And then I don't know who you guys are pulling for in the basketball because I don't follow it, but hopefully you will make money off of it if you're betting. I don't know.
Right, March Madness. Yeah, we'll talk to Brian a little bit about March Madness, but I don't feel it as much this year because a lot of teams are out of it. There's COVID stuff. I just feel like it's not the same. Like I'll still watch it and I'm gonna still put a bracket together, but I don't have that same energy that I've had in the past. But I'm happy it's back because last year it didn't happen. But
no, I am. So that's why I'm like, I hope you guys are enjoying that. It's just nothing. I never got into it, but whatever.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. So I'll see you guys next week. Take care.
The Wizards team will unfortunately have to break down a ton of losses in a row, which is not, the most ideal thing to talk about, but not all things are as good as the Washington Capitals are. So, we'll bring in our team of that, and then we'll bring Carol back in to sort of recap 5 years and give our final thoughts. And on that. And so I think, I don't know, Runes probably will join us in just a moment. It's not quite even 10 o'clock yet, but let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen real fast to see if this works. I've never tried to share my screen and be on Twitch all at the same time. So, we're trying new things all the time here to see how we're doing. We got the Wizards here. This has started to work. And then let me just make sure that, we'll see in a second if that actually takes. I didn't think so. Hold on. Interesting. It just blacks out the screen when I do it. I don't know how you fix that. All right, hold on. Let me try one other thing. Meeting controls. Fix it. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good to know. So that totally wrecks it. Stop share. Let me just see. Does that fix it for OBS? Nope. No, it's just completely jacked. Cool. All right. Anyway, trying stuff live on air for the first time and it doesn't work, but I'm going to just share the stats like I always do for all of our other screens and shows. And then we can try to reset the window capture here. Let me see. Does this work? Reset it. All right. I'm going to give up. In a second. Yeah. All right, we're gonna stop the stream there for that. And we're just gonna keep on all the other ones. All right, so the Capitals or the Wizards had a rough week, unlike the Capitals. They've come back and played a game against the Grizzlies, the Clippers. No, wait, I'm wrong. Against the Grizzlies, the 76ers, the Bucks, and the Bucks again. We're gonna go through some of the scoring real fast in those games, and then we're gonna have our team breakdown their thoughts on it. Before I do though, I will quickly introduce the team and see how they're doing. So Ken, DC's People Champ, how are you doing tonight?
What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's having a great night. This has been a rough week. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's tough if you're a Wizards fan for sure. And then I'll bring in Tim next to see how he's doing.
Congrats on the 5 years, guys. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, I can't complain. I mean, the Capitals just had an incredible 6-0 first shutout in over a year. So I'm pretty ecstatic about that. I wish that the Wizards had won tonight as well, but it wasn't meant to be. I guess I'll get your guys' quick thoughts on the game tonight, and then we can, and then I'll bring us together and we can talk about these other losses as well. But Tim, what's your instant reaction to tonight's game?
Well, it's just Wizards aren't talented enough. I mean, the Bucks are one of the best teams in the East, and even when they're playing not their best game, and, you know, playing a lot of guys off the bench, they still can handle the Wizards. And so it's disappointing to go from that great West Coast trip to this awful week, but I think all you can say is the Wizards just can't stack up talent-wise with a team like the Bucks.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, well, we've already kind of introduced Brian, but Brian does Upon Further Review with Brian Brennan, and he's joining us for our Wizards talk and talking about the NBA in general. How are you doing this week, Brian?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Yeah, I can't complain. Just enjoying a mini vacation that I have right now, and this awesome game and awesome day that I had. So I can't complain at all, except for the Wizards. But I mean, some of these games were decently close. So let me just quickly go through the scoring on all the games, and then we'll give each one of you guys an opportunity to break down maybe one game that you care about, and then we'll preview the upcoming week, and then we'll try to get you guys out of here. So it won't be too long of a segment. All right, so let's let me see if I can screen share again now that we don't have Twitch running. It's unfortunate that doesn't work with that one. I'll have to figure out a workaround for when we do screen sharing, or maybe we just don't do screen sharing when we're live on Twitch. So the first game was Wednesday, March 10th against the Grizzlies. It started off with the Grizzlies outscoring them 35-26 in the second. The Wizards made a decent game of it, 36-32 in the third. The Grizzlies outscored them 27-23, and then in the fourth quarter, the Grizzlies continued to outscore them 33-27. Rui Hachimura had 11 points. He played pretty decent. Russell Westbrook had 10 assists and 20 points. Bradley Beal had 21 points, but it just wasn't enough. The Grizzlies, had three players scored over 20 points, and so it's difficult, and three players that were 10 points or more. So it was a rough it was a rough night overall, I thought, just defensively for the Wizards. But we'll have each one of you guys give your thoughts. Well, I guess no, one of you guys said that you did see the Memphis game. Was it you, Champ? Or no,
I saw it.
Tim saw that one. All right, Tim, I'll just let you give your quick thoughts right now on that one.
I'm going to take this take from another Wizards fan, but you cannot allow Jonas Valanciunas to go for 29 and 20 against you. He's a very good player. He's one of the better centers in the league. He's been a great pickup for Memphis, but he's not Shaquille O'Neal. The Wizards are pretty weak inside, especially when they don't play Lopez or Len, which they often don't because they want to go small and be able to shoot better. But he absolutely dominated the game. And this was another typical Wizards woeful performance in the first quarter where they lose, the first quarter by 8, 10, 12, 15 points. And yes, they seem to always have strong second quarters, but it dooms a team like the Wizards that aren't very talented. And Memphis isn't great, but they're in the playoff hunt in the West, so they definitely have talent, and you saw they had 6 or 7 guys scoring in double figures. So, they know how to share the ball. They play a good team game. And Ja Morant is undefeated against the Wizards. He loves playing against DC. He's 4-0. He loves our defense or lack of defense. So another disappointing loss because this was the easiest game of the week. But, it's not shocking. They seemed a little lackadaisical, so I think they're a little rusty, but not a good start to the week at all.
Yeah, for sure. I just realized I wasn't separately recording this podcast, so we won't have a stats version of this. We'll probably just chop up this Zoom one this week for both the Caps and the Wizards talk. So no fancy HD one this week, but that's fine. Because I was trying to figure out how I would fix the stats thing, but I don't need to because I never clicked the record button. But that's a pretty good assessment on this game. Let's just move on to the other games. The 76ers game, just kind of a blowout. There was a lot of reports that Embiid wouldn't play in this game, and then he did play in this game, and he scored 23 points, had 7 rebounds, 3 assists. It's a weird game where our announcer is calling out some of their best players, which is kind of a hot take that then gets more talked about than like maybe the game itself. Overall, just the 76ers blew them out in the first quarter, 32-15. Then the Wizards kind of, they scored 38 points in the second, so that was really good, and they held 76ers to 31. But then the 76ers outscored them 31-23 in the third, and then outscored them 33-25 in the fourth, and just kind of blew them out by the end of that, 127-101. Danny Green played well, Embiid played well, Seth Curry played well for them. For the Wizards, Russell Westbrook had 8 assists and 25 points. Bradley Beal only had 19 points, which is pretty low for him this season. Robin Lopez was the only other person in double-digit scoring with 10. Just not enough scoring and just not enough good defense. I'm going to just go through the other scoring real quickly, and then I'll get your guys' thoughts overall in the week. The next game was against the Bucks. I thought this was a better effort by the Wizards. In the first quarter, the Milwaukee Bucks outscored them 36-33. But in the second quarter, the Wizards did really well. They outscored them 32-28. In the third, it was even scoring, and the Bucks outscored them in the fourth, 31-24 to win 125-119. But it was a really close game during times there. Giannis Antetokounmpo scored 33 points, 11 assists, and 11 rebounds, and a big reason why they were able to hold on and win that game. They had good scoring from around the team. Rui Hachimura just put it in for 29 points and 11 rebounds, probably one of his best games of the season. Russell Westbrook had 10 rebounds, 12 assists, and 42 points. He played great, but obviously they were hurting with playing without Bradley Beal. In this game, it was a back-to-back game. Also didn't have Bertans in this one. So I thought they actually put a better effort together than I thought. I thought maybe that would bleed into a win tonight. Unfortunately, in tonight's game, the Wizards did not show up in the first quarter. They were outscored 32-23. And then in the second quarter, Milwaukee scored 37. And again, the Wizards only scored 32. Then they continued to outscore them 36-34 in the third. And then the Wizards came back just a little bit, outscored them 33-28, but was too little too late. And they lose that game 133-122. Giannis once again had 31 points, 10 assists, and 15 rebounds for another triple-double against us. Just a lot of players scoring in double digits. You had Brook Lopez with 22, Middleton with 23. For the Wizards, Rui had 22, Bradley Beal had 37 with 6 rebounds and 5 assists. Westbrook had the most assists he's had all season with 17, 23 points and 5 rebounds. They played decent on the offensive side, but just not good enough on the defensive side. Here's some overall stats on this game as well. Champ, I'm going to go to you next. What were some of your thoughts about these back-to-back games against the Bucks?
The Saturday night game, I looked at the score, and like I said, I watched this game live. I caught it right after I got off of the air from doing my podcast, and it was a game where it looked close, but it just didn't feel close. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just did not feel close. It just felt like everything looked like it was even, but it just didn't feel like everything was even. And I think it's because it just didn't seem like the Wizards were all the way there. I mean, not having Brad out there, I think, was a big part of that. Yes, Westbrook went out on the second half of a back-to-back after playing against the 76ers. He came out, and I said it on last week's podcast, I didn't think he was going to play this game. And he ends up not only playing this game, but having a triple-double on top of that. But his efforts of 42 points and a triple-double just were not enough against Antetokounmpo having a triple-double and 8 players in double figures for the Bucks. The second game was definitely visually, it was not close at all. It was just not close. From the bit I saw, it just wasn't close. They outplayed them in all facets. Antetokounmpo, a second straight triple-double, just another great performance by him. And the Wizards just looked lackluster, even with having both Brad and Westbrook back in the backcourt. It wasn't enough. So there you go. The Bucks just had this team number, and my pick of splitting one of these two fell by the wayside.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Tim, do you have any thoughts on either of these Bucks games or the 76ers game?
Yeah, I want to start with the good before I get to the bad. I think it's great that Westbrook played an amazing game against the Bucks on Saturday night. It definitely was a moral victory, although a loss on the scoreboard. The post-game interviews were pretty positive about how hard the team played, and they they really hung with the Bucks more or less. Like Ken said, it wasn't extremely close, but they did keep it really interesting until the very end. And I love the growth that I've seen from Rui and Denny on the offensive end, especially tonight. They both put up 30 plus points, and between that and Westbrook starting to gel with the team, those are really great signs on the offensive end. But as we know, the Wizards can score. They just play horrible defense. So, Scott Brooks not being able to figure out the right rotation still and the defense giving up way too many points, it trumps all the positives. But I take away a couple of nice things from this week, and I want to see those young players develop more.
All right, sounds good. Real quickly, Brian, I know you didn't watch all these games and stuff like that, but from an outsider's perspective, what were your thoughts on sort of these 4 losses in the overall week?
It was a difficult stretch of games for sure. I think there was a added importance to win that Memphis game, considering how difficult the next couple of games after that were going to be against Philly and then the 2 against Milwaukee. I think there was a big importance to win that Memphis game if you wanted this to be any sense of a positive week, and then to lose that first game. I don't know. You guys mentioned it. Memphis seems to have the Wizards' number. Ja Morant's now 4-0 against the Wizards in his career. That really sticks out to me. He owns them right now. And that really set the tone for what was a really disappointing week for the Wizards. And I think there were some positives. They did hang with Milwaukee in both of these games at spurts, both these games at times. And Tim mentioned the development of the young players, but as a whole, you'd prefer to win these games. It's disappointing to not come away with the results. Yeah.
Sounds good. I think we got Arun on now. Arun, do you want to break down any of these games, any game that you watched or want to talk about in particular?
Yeah, I watched the Grizzlies game as well. Jonas Valanciunas was crazy with he had 29 points and 20 rebounds, and he's a missed free throw away from getting that done with the 30-20. And I guess the Sixers game was not very interesting at all. We all thought the Wizards would have a chance because potentially Embiid and Simmons were out. It was just Simmons, and Embiid got injured, but he did enough damage that it was already a blowout by the time he got out. So not a very good week for the Wizards, and Bradley Beal decided to take off the next game, and the Wizards lost. So it's been a pretty ugly week for the Wizards.
For sure. All right, let's break down the upcoming games that are coming up here. We got a game on Wednesday, March 17th, against the Kings. The Kings come to town at 7 o'clock, and the Jazz play the Wizards on Thursday. And then the Wizards go on a little bit of a road trip with the first game being against the New York Nets on Sunday. So all 3 of those games are at 7. So again, the Kings on Wednesday at 7, the Jazz Thursday at 7, and then at the Nets on Sunday at 7 are the 3 upcoming games. I'll get each one of you to give your takes on those. I'm starting to start with you, Champ. What are your thoughts on the week ahead?
Last week I tried to be optimistic. I said, okay, they can win 2. They can beat Memphis, they'll split the Bucks. And then they turned around and went 0-4, and then you look like a fool. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So it'll be shame on me if I get fooled a second time, but I'm going to try it anyway. I feel like they'll beat the Kings. The Kings are a subpar team in a very, very high level conference of the West, which means they're beatable, extremely beatable. So you should win that game. The next two games, not so much. The Jazz are currently sitting in first place in the West. They're the best team in probably the best conference in basketball right now. And then you have the Nets after that, who sit second in your conference. I don't see them beating both of those teams. Now, will they play up to those two teams? Absolutely. But will they beat them? I don't see it. So I'm saying that this team will go 1-2. They will go 1-2 this next 3-game stretch as they begin that road trip, beginning with the New Jersey Nets after they play the Jazz at home.
Got it. All right, Tim, what are your thoughts on the week ahead?
I agree with Ken completely. I think 1-2. I think Sacramento is an absolute must-win, and the Wizards will. Fun stat that I thought was wrong, but apparently was correct. Also, the Wizards had a 10-game home win streak against the 76ers going into that game. So the Wizards lose to Philly a lot, but only on the road. So obviously that didn't do much for the Wizards over the weekend, but interesting stat. I can't go better than 1-2. I wish I could, but I can't.
Arun, what are your thoughts on the week ahead?
I'm debating whether to go 1-2 or 0-3, but I guess I'm going to go one. I think I'm going to go 0-3 just to be different. And also, I don't know, like Sacramento's about the same as the Wizards, and the Wizards do play down to their competition. Like, I could see the Wizards like pulling off another, like an upset victory over against a better opponent, but I would just go 0-3.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Brian, what are your thoughts on the outside?
I'm thinking 1-2. I think they're going to beat Sacramento. They're not very good, honestly. They're a rebuilding team, but the other two games, like you guys said, Utah's the number one team in the West right now. They're having a great start to their season, and Brooklyn's been absolutely killing it. I'm actually watching them right now. They're beating the Knicks in a pretty close game. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think it's one. I agree. I think 1-2 is the way to go this week.
It sounds good. I agree. For the record, I think that they might win the Kings game. I hope they do. They need to get off the schneid. They've lost a bunch of games in a row here. Yeah. So I mean, we'll keep the Wizards talk pretty brief tonight. Not a whole lot to talk about. If I'll try to share Brian Brennan's thing. When does the bracket actually start? When do
the tournament starts? So I think the official bracket challenge starts on Saturday or Friday.
Yeah, Friday. You have to get
Friday,
it in Friday at noon.
Yeah, there we go. That's right. Tim's got it. Friday at noon.
So is that the first four in, or is that the actual?
No, that's the actual tournament.
Yeah, you don't. Nobody has to pick the first four.
You just
pick like one of those two to win or lose.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'll share it on the page a little later. When's the deadline of when people have to sign up for the bracket challenge?
I think it's the same thing. I think that's the deadline.
Friday at noon because it tips off like right after noon.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, it sounds good. I'll try to share that.
Plenty of time.
Tomorrow, at least, so people want to join that. I appreciate him putting it out there. I'm having a hard time picking my bracket this year just because I haven't actually watched a lot of college basketball. Most years I watch a lot more, but with COVID
my bracket's name is actually haven't seen any college basketball, so I can completely relate.
Yeah,
pick your favorite mascots, and you'll do better than trying to learn who's actually good. Trust me.
Yeah,
but a lot of the big name schools are out of it this year, or with COVID issues and playing well.
Totally winging it. I don't even care. I'm totally winging it.
Yeah,
that's how you win
it too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm excited to do that with all of you guys. I'm sure that you guys will all probably play. Awesome. Well, Brian, before we let you go, let people know what's happening on your podcast this week.
Well, I released a new episode on Friday. Which I did a roundtable with Mike, Tim, and Arun, where we talked about our 1 year of since COVID affected the sports world. I thought it was really great. They were great. A lot of fun.
I'm halfway through the episode. It's a really good episode. So.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Then I had a really strong outro. It was great. I think this week's going to be mostly NCAA tournament breakdown and things like that. And before I go, I want to give a shout out to my alma mater, the High Point University Panthers, the women's basketball team, for making the NCAA tournament for the first time in school history. I want to give a shout out to them.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. I just want to give a shout out to them.
And to your school. I appreciate it as always, Brian. You've been a big part of this show. I think you've been on 4 out of the 5 seasons, if I want to remember correctly.
Yes. Congratulations on 5 years. It's an incredible accomplishment.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love coming on your show all these years, and I
absolutely
love effort there. And I just, if anybody wants to check them out, go to SportsOTHP.com. Click the podcast partners button, click upon further review of Brian Brennan, and all of his latest shows are there. And I appreciate you as always, Brian, and I look forward to talking to you next week as we get closer to baseball season. I know that you'll help us break down the baseball season when we get to that.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me on, guys. Have a good night.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna go to Arun. Arun, I believe that you started on season 1 with us on the Sports on the Hill podcast. So we really appreciate you bringing the stats and the knowledge of a wide variety of different sports. What final word do you have today, Arun?
Just giving a good luck to Villanova, even though they're without their starting point guard. I don't expect them to go that far in the tournament this year. But perhaps they can beat Winthrop. Brian Brennan's hates Winthrop because they beat High Point University a couple of times this season. And no RG3 news. Sorry, I think he's probably napping right now. And maybe I can get him on Cameo to come in one of these days, maybe in the 10th year anniversary.
There you go. I'm sure he'll need a job at that point. So, but that sounds good. Well, thank you as always, Arun. And I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. Thank you for coming on, and I will we'll see you next week.
Sure. Thanks for having me on.
Timing of sneezes, you never know. Anyway, Tim, you've been a member of this podcast. I think you also joined in our first season as well 5 years ago.
Yeah, I remember some of the early shows, and I'm glad you guys have really developed the show and brought on a lot of new people and different segments and everything. It's been awesome.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you being one of our OG members and continuing to love the Capitals and the Wizards and the Nationals together. And I know that, you're Orioles fan first, but you've kind of adopted the Nationals as your second team. And appreciate that. And any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, just see you on the next anniversary show, and hope it goes for years and years.
Thank you. I appreciate it as always.
Have a good night.
All right. Have a good one. All right, Champ, I know you've had a busy schedule with wrestling. They even added more wrestling today. What's the latest in the No Spots podcast world?
Well, currently on video on demand on our Twitch channel, myself and Sage did a recap of round 2 of the New Japan Cup, which finished this morning. The quarterfinals kick off tomorrow morning. So we gave our predictions for that. On this Friday, myself and Sis will be previewing Fastlane, which is coming up this coming Sunday. We will recap Impact Wrestling Sacrifice, where new champions were crowned and all that good stuff. And last but what certainly want to say, not least, is congratulations to you and Carol for making it 5 years doing this podcast. I don't know how many fan-made podcasts still exist after 5 years, but you two guys made sure it worked. This is my goal, is to have my podcast make it to 5 years. And with inspirations like you two, I know that I can make it to 5 years and beyond. So you guys, congratulations, and thank you for the inspiration.
Thank you.
Appreciate that, Champ. We've been doing this. We love bringing you on and bringing on all the other folks. I appreciate all the contributors over the years, and I appreciate you coming on, breaking down, basketball with Rob. You always sit back and listen, and always doing a great job on the wrestling, because you got me watching wrestling now, because I checked out a couple of your podcasts and got me, tuning in. I'm still a WWE guy. I can't get into all the other ones. I still know those folks, but keep up the good work, man.
Appreciate you guys, man. Y'all have a good one, though.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, everyone can check out this. Go to sportsothp.com, click the podcast partners, click the No Spots podcast, and you can get all the latest episodes from Champ and Sith and all the team over there. A fellow True Radio Network member, and we appreciate them as always. And we'll talk to you next week.
Really quick, Robbie, I forgot to mention this. The episode 102 audio should be up by Thursday. I've been having a little bit of a difficult time, but I will have the audio up for that on Thursday, so when people go in there, they can hear the audio.
Sounds good. All right, we look forward to it, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. So, all right, Carol, let's talk just for a moment about 5 years, and we'll get your thoughts on that going forward. Just what are your general thoughts, and what are you looking forward to in the next season?
Well, it's just amazing that idea from, I got to give credit to my little cousin. He was the one that put the idea in my head to start the show after I went on Hertz House when I was just writing for a small local blog, writing about the Washington football team, the name they were before. And it's just amazing that he gave me the idea after I went on Hertz House, after he listened, because I never listened to none of the shows after we do them. I tell you that all the time. I rarely listen to them. I might go listen to them, on the podcasting platforms later on. If I, at work or something and it's slow, I'll go back and play it back. But just to give me the idea to start a show, and then me putting the post up, and then you responded to it, offering, help with the knowledge that you had. And to see, we started with a team of just me and you, and now we have a team of over 15, 16 folks that contribute to the show on a regular basis, and keeping the movement going. The next step is to get us, on the mainstream platform, because we have quality content. We don't put no false stuff out there. We bring mostly, I say we've been 98 to 99% accurate on all the story that we broke, or all the news that we put out there from our sources. So I think it's time for folks to understand that, you don't have to have, 4 letters by your credentials, or a FM radio dial when you claim to be something that you aren't. When you have a quality product and people listen and have been listening and continue to listen, it's time to get it out there for the, the masses. So folks, just keep on sharing, keep on liking our stuff, posting it on social media. We do this because we love it. And we know we got some real fans that want the real unadulterated sports without all the opinion and all the crazy talk and all the rumor mills and anonymous sources. So, follow us, keep putting this out there, letting folks know it's a quality sports show out there that brings you in-depth coverage with quality insight and knowledge that you can't get nowhere else, man. And I just appreciate all the hard work that you've been putting in, Robbie, with the website. And since I've been on restriction from Facebook, you've been doing a lot of great posts on the page, getting a lot of engagement from the fans. I just appreciate all the hard work everybody puts in, and the end game. I done already told you what the end game is, and when it's time for everything said and done, folks that's been riding with us will be taken care of, definitely.
For sure. Well, I want to thank all the people for tuning in. I know that Mike Stepp was commenting earlier. I missed a couple of those comments, but I appreciate it. My dad wanted to show Zach that Zach was upstairs. But I appreciate all those people for tuning in and being a part of the show. And, it's cool to see all the different support that we've gotten, people tuning in live, people joining in, commenting later, sharing our stuff. It's been really cool to see the growth of this podcast and to be able to cover, we talk about the District of Champions, being able to talk about these championships live, talk about winning the NFC East this year. And there's so much more to talk about coming up, and so many more things to celebrate. And it's been really great. And I really want to appreciate all the contributors over the years, all the different guests that we've had over the years. A lot of great stuff. If people want to go back and check out any of it, SportsOTHP.com has 5 years of archives of stuff. YouTube channels, both of our YouTube channels have 5 years of stuff on it. Lots of just wonderful content to go back to. And even on the podcasting platforms, to start season 5, we did a top 10. So if you missed the first 4 seasons and just want sort of the best 10 episodes, we have that on there, as well as all the episodes from this season. And I look forward to season 6, when we'll bring the Nationals back into the fold, and we'll start talking about the Washington football team again, and just lots of really great stuff. A couple of things glitched with the Twitch stream today. We got the Capitals talk on there, so it was a good first test. Next week, I'm going to try a couple of different things, maybe going full screen from my Mac, so that way I don't go full screen from the machine that was sharing the screen. So we'll see if that works a little better. So stay tuned for Twitch Try Part 2. Again, next week, we're going to have our Season 5 finale, and then we'll have a week off. And then the week after that, we will start Season 6 with some baseball talk as well. But hopefully the Capitals keep rolling without Tom Wilson. We really appreciate all the hockey talk that we got to do tonight, and so it's some great stuff. It's a good time to be a hockey fan. I know it's tough to be a Wizards fan, but hopefully we've seen signs of improvement at times, and we just got to ride through the ups and downs of all these different sports teams, and we're here to cover both the good and the bad, and we're right here to be with you guys, so hopefully for another 5 years. And with that, I think we can sort of wrap up the show, and we can call it a night a little bit early, and I can celebrate offline our 5 years.
No doubt. It's, as always, appreciate all the listeners, contributors, followers, fans, folks that buy the apparel, folks that inbox me with questions about the teams. Appreciate it. This is why I started this show. It goes back to me and my dad riding, listening to sports talk radio. When I was younger, I couldn't stand it. When I got older and starting to appreciate sports, then that laid the groundwork for what we're doing today. Like I said, I never knew this is what I wanted to do until I started doing it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so happy that you made that post in Beltway Sports, a group that we still share every one of our podcasts to this day, and I really appreciate that. I'm laughing because I just realized Neville's been in this entire episode. I don't think he even moved. He just fell asleep and was just what's going on.
5 minutes of fame too, in the 5-year anniversary, man.
Exactly. He wanted to show you could be cute and sleep, and but yeah, anyway, so it's been a fun time. We're definitely going to try a bunch of new stuff with Twitch. I've been loving these Zoom feeds this year. It's worked out great, being able to get different angles, different views for different people. So I look forward to that. Just as a reminder for this podcast, I didn't actually click the HD recording button before I started. I was trying to do all the Twitch stuff, so I never got that. So when I do the highlights this week, we'll just be little lower res clips of the thing, but it'll still have all your hockey and basketball talk and all of those in there. And we update the website. We put a lot of our post-game stuff on there. I didn't put last week's post-game stuff, but after this show, I'll update that as well. So if you miss any of those, I'll add those to the page. But we really appreciate everyone for checking out all those post-game clips and pre-game clips. And even though we've supposedly done 200 and I think it was 17 shows. It's so much more than that. Sports on the Hill podcast. I guess this is the 218th show, but we've done over 400 different programs under the Sports on the Hill podcast brand. Between clips and Sunday shows and pre-game shows and post-game shows. It's probably well over 400 to be honest. But we really appreciate everybody for tuning in and being a part of this, and I look forward to what the next 5 years will bring, and we'll keep on bringing you bigger and better stuff. It's funny that I wore a Braden Holtby jersey today. Everyone commented, I got to wear that jersey every game. I actually changed jerseys through this run, but then we started doing really well, and I was like, you know what? For the goaltender, I was going to wear the goalie jersey today, even if it isn't the goalie in net, and it worked, Carol. I'm happy that I stuck with it. I'm happy for Double V to get the shutout today. I'm happy for Ovechkin to be able to tie, all-time greats, and Backstrom to become one of the longest playing Capitals players tonight. So just an incredible 5th anniversary special and the 5 seasons that we've done it. And we look forward to next week and many more seasons to come.
Now, that's the best part of doing this podcast, I guess my part in chat, is that we covered the teams on their championship runs, from the Capitals to the Nationals to the Mystics to the Valor. We followed from the start of the season to the end of the season. And
we covered them for previous seasons. It wasn't like the first season we covered them, they won it all. We were there through the downs that they had to have. Or you remember the Mystics had to run it back. They got to the finals, but they lost. And then we covered the redemption story. And then, the same thing with the Capitals. Every year, second round, get to it, but never get past it. And then they had a kind of a rough season going the year before the 2018 one, if you remember. And, they came back and had their redemption story. And the Nationals, every time, they were a favorite to win it all, they never even got to the playoffs. And in some seasons they would make it, but they would win in the division and still lose. And then what time that they won it all, as you can see behind me, was the year they were the wild card team. And they just had an incredible run. So all of them, we talked about adversity. And even the year that the Valor won it all, they had a lot of adversity that year too, if people remember. So we cover both the good and the bad. We're not just sort of bandwagon fans. We really are diehard fans of these sports teams and reporters on them, and it's been fun to bring to
No
you.
doubt. So that's what, like I said, that's one of the most beautifulest things about doing this is that we covered it during it, went to the parades, did post games, ups and downs, the winning streaks, the losing streaks, and that's what it's all about. And all the folks that inbox me and tell me they appreciate the show, and the folks that comment, and the folks that continue to tune in. All I can say is thank you, man. We do it because we love doing it, and we love bringing you sports coverage like nowhere else. DC Sports without the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. I mean, the show is always on my feed with Renegade 703, Money Convo. You know how we do. Check it out. Go follow them on YouTube, Instagram. Go check out my YouTube channel, Carol Porter III with 3 eyes. Come looking for a new used pre-owned certified vehicle. Come on down to 2450 Crane Highway, down in Waldorf, Maryland. Work at Waldorf Honda. Get your new used pre-owned certified vehicle. Make that deal work. And CP3, Robbie G, SportsOTHP on True Radio Network. Appreciate it. 5 years, and who knows where we're going. But as always, stay tuned for so much more. CP3 live from the lab, and I'm out.